Hello and welcome to lesson 10 of Introduction to CSS. This is the 10th lesson web development series. Before going into the lesson proper, I'd like to acknowledge my right, Mr. Sam Brown, an expert graphics designer, a former student of mine. Thank you, Mr. Sam, for this spunking new layout that you're seeing. So it's now the 5th day of the 5th month of 2020, and our school is continuing to serve incoming first year students who land a scholarship at CHED. So someone that would benefit with this scholarship is that also, as I announced in a previous video, I will be starting out summer class. Please, third year BSIT CS students enrolled yet, please do so. And if you have, please check your names, classrooms. So that's about it. Let's go to lesson proper now. In this lesson, we will look into designing your page. Now, technology is more closely related to each other than HTML and CSS. It were a Filipino meal, then you can think of it as puto and dinuguan. In fact, most books, if not all, related to HTML inevitably covers CSS as well. So again, it is HTML for content and cascading style sheets for design. So what will we cover? We'll define cascading style sheets, and we'll illustrate some of the most amazing things that one can do with style sheets. We will look about how CSS works and demonstrate how to write CSS in 3 different ways, and how those CSS rules, we call them rules, apply to the whole HTML document. Okay, this slide shows a very common familiar game. No? It is a Dress Me Up GIF. This practically illustrates what one does with HTML documents using CSS. Now, to make my point more clear, next slide shows an HTML document. This particular HTML document is just one document, but it has been dressed up or designed 200 plus, more than 200 ways using CSS. And the website I'm talking about is csszengarden.com, and I'll be illustrating that in a bit. But let me show the main design. This is the main design of the site that I'm talking about. Again, it highlights what one can do with CSS. This shows the design 221st, another design 220, design 219th. This is design 218. Again, let me illustrate this particular website. Okay, here's the main style of this particular website, the csszengarden.com. There is an add-on in Chrome that allows one to strip all of the styling for a particular site, and this add-on is the web developer add-on, and let's do that here. So let's go to the web developer add-on, click CSS, then disable all styles. So you see, without those CSS or the styles, the CSS rules, this is the result, the bare HTML document. Now, if you enable that back and click a design of the same HTML, a different design of the same HTML document, for example, say a steel, for example, we have here an animated theme or steel construction, almost a construction-like theme. So this is particularly engaging in sense that one can hover on a particular element and it animates. No? This is an animation by itself, but when you mouse over it, it swivels by itself. And when you get the mouse out, it returns to its original position. As well as this, you can animate also this particular panel and this panel. So it's really amazing to see this done only using CSS. Again, to illustrate, you can strip this off the styling of this by disabling all styles, and we're back to the stripped down HTML. Now, what is this magic, you might ask? Well, according to this particular singer, it's all about that base. Or in our case, for CSS, it's all about the box, no trouble. So every element in HTML you can think of is contained inside. You can visualize it as it is contained inside a box. You target that particular box with the CSS rule and give it a different style to your liking. So this next slide illustrates what I'm talking about. So on the left, there is a sample HTML document with tags. So this particular one, the body is styled with a border, black border. Each one, which is sample title, is styled with a blue border, as well as the paragraph and the div, both blue borders. This bold tag inside the paragraph tag styled with a red border, as well as the emphasis tag inside the paragraph tag. It's also within a red border. So, but what can be styled, you might ask? So boxes you can change the width and style. I'm sorry, the width and height of a box, which borders, background color, images, its position on the browser window. For text, you can change how it is capitalized or made bold, italic, size, change the font, and other specific tags you can also target, like lists, tables, forms, or one to style. So the anatomy of a CSS rule, again, in the demonstration later, we will be showing the how to write rules. But the anatomy of a CSS rule is that there is a selector, and the selector is styled using a declaration. A declaration consists of an open and closed brace, and inside the declaration are two values. Now, one is the property value or the property of the declaration, followed by colon and the value of that declaration. So in this CSS rule, there are two rules. No, for H1, H2, and HC tags, it would take the font family Arial, and its color will be yellow. But how are they written in in an HTML document? There are three ways one can write HTML. It could write it inline within an attribute, internal in the HTML tag, as well external in a separate external CSS file. This is recommended. This is the sheet in CSS, no, Cascading Style Sheet. So I'll be illustrating that. So now we get to write CSS in three different ways. But before we proceed, let me note that for this particular run, I am using a library load, an add-on of Chrome that will allow us to write something on our text editor, so text tree. And when we save it, it's automatically reloaded. So we don't need to click this reload button every now and then we change things. So again, for this particular demonstration, we will talk about writing CSS in three ways, three different. Let me just comment this out. Tab, comment that out. So guide what this is. So this is generally again writing CSS. So first up, let's write skeleton HTML document and title this, of course, the same way. The CSS in three is let's add in an H1 tag. Let's do title, throw in all paragraphs, so say words on it. Therefore, a good measure, maybe 35 older words and unlisted. Unordered list, a couple of list items. Let's say list item 1, copy that down. Also later, we'll be discussing about ancestors, descendants. So let me just wrap something this in bold text and bold maybe this as emphasis tag. This text. That's it. So again, H1 tag, couple of paragraphs, a bold tag, an emphasis tag, listed or an ordered list. So first off, inline. You write inline CSS directly on the tag. So for example, you want to change the color of H1 to red. You do style, color, colon, full colon, then type in red for the value, semicolon to close the rule. When you save this, so we have now H1 styled with a color of red because of this particular inline style. One rule as inline style. Of course, you can copy this particular rule and apply it to other elements. For example, this particular paragraph, you want style as red. To add additional rules, you just separate the first rule with space. Copy maybe font size, let's say font size 20x, semicolons for illustrate, semicolon, save, and we see that reflected here. You can change this to blue. So that's about it for writing inline styles. So I'll be commenting this out. Later I'll point a reference to this and independently study on your own time and list your base. So let's do another one of this. This time just to illustrate internal style sheet. I will be removing this one. That's the one that we removed, then let's transfer that style here. So what we do, you type in style tag under the head element style, then point to that particular tag, each one, then style it with color, then red, save, done. Okay, so let me remove this color particular graph, style it on the internal as or using an internal style sheet. We do paragraph, but this applies to all paragraphs. So we have two, so this should apply to both paragraphs. We say color, for example, blue. Save. We have blue for both paragraphs. We say font size dpx. It now notice that it's more convenient to do this way. So if you want to style both H1 and P in the same way, you can remove this and put in a comma, P there. It will follow the rule for H1 comma and H1 and all H1 and all paragraphs as well. So that's inline styling for you. So let me comment for that. And here this out. This is line sheet called internal. This is internal. This is via inline style sheet. Okay, so let's put this up. This applies to line style as well. So this also this is for inline style sheet. So styles internal. So internal. This corresponds to internal style sheet. So this is in style sheet group, which refers to. So let's go to the third one, which is styling using external. So just copy. Backward indent. Why did I indent it back? Okay, yeah. For external style sheet, what we have is I have already written a separate file for that. It's a file with an extension of .css, and this will serve as your external sheet, external style sheet. We illustrate here on the sidebar. I have here this is the file that we are currently editing, and we have a CSS folder. It's currently empty now. So let's create a file in there. So we create new file. We say styles.css. We refer to this particular file using a link tag. So we do link the HTML reference. We point to that folder is under CSS folder, and we do styles.css. It's basically the format is basically the same when you write internal style sheet, but it's more organized now since we all write all the rules inside this particular file. So if we want to, let's get rid of this side. So if you want to write a rule that will style this into red, as we did earlier with internal style sheet, like before H1 and P colored red. So what we do is within the styles that it says we do H1 open and close a curly brace, color red, then semicolon. Save. We include tag, save, style both. That's about it for styling using external style sheets. So before discussing anything about the different selector types, let me just get into the discussion of the different terms used to refer to particular items in an HTML document. So in this case, we have this unstyled document. You have an H1, 2 paragraphs with content, a bold element inside paragraph, and an emphasis element also inside. We have also a UL after the 2 paragraphs for list items under unordered list. So for the nomenclature or how things are named on a particular document, we say that H1, both paragraphs, and the unordered list, since they are on the same level, okay, they are on the same level, we say that they are siblings, and their parent is the body tag. For the bold and emphasis tag, which is inside the paragraph, we say that they are children of the paragraph tag, this particular paragraph tag. They are both siblings. B, the bold tag, and the emphasis tag are siblings. They are brothers or sisters whose parents are this part. Again, those are the nomenclatures. We talk about a family tree-like nomenclature when I talk about CSS. We talk about children or child, ancestors and descendants, parents and grandparents. If that's all. It's basically a family tree like nomenclature, the way of name. Now, selector types. So there are different selector types for CSS, and I'll be illustrating that as well. To illustrate the different types of selectors used in CSS, we have here I have set up a sample document unstyle for now. And we have a separate style.css with commented out codes so that we can save time. I've commented out the codes for the particular selectors that we will be illustrating. So by the way, the comments in CSS are written as / or written between / and */. That's how we write comments. So we refer this external style sheet, yes, inside the head tag with the link tag. So just to illustrate that this CSS is pointed correctly, let's style it once again with our color property, say red. We have that, so that's correctly referred. The CSS, this particular CSS sheet is correctly referred. So what is a universal selector? The universal selector for CSS is the asterisk. The asterisk refers to all tags. So when we style the asterisk tag, it means that that particular or all the tags within that HTML document will follow that rule. To illustrate, let's unclick this. Sorry. Let's out this. So notice that the asterisk, then again it refers to all the elements in HTML document. So when it takes the property color, and its value is red, then save this, colors all the elements. Okay, so let's send that back out again, save. That's it for universal selector. There's only one universal selector, the asterisk. About the type selector. Type selector are pointers or points to a particular tag. So in this case, h1, p, and the ul tag will be styled with a border solid black 1px. Let's try this. Comment, save. We have so the h1 is bordered with solid black 1px style, as well as the paragraph, both paragraphs, ul. It is also, or all of them are also colored red. Notice that only the ul is styled red, but all elements inside the UL takes up the red value also. This is inheritance at work. No? Since the parent is styled that way, then the children of the particular parent will also get that particular style. So notice that we also have that here. This is the bold tag and the emphasis tag, all both colored. So let's comment that out. Save to remove that. Fold this. Class select. Notice that please be reminded that class selectors can be reused in HTML. So for example, we create a pointer to a class portante. The name is portante and we color it. We can use that particular class here. So for example, use a class, we name that portante. Again, it should be the same with this this particular one, and it should be, when it refers to a class, it should be preceded with a period. So let's comment this out and save, and we have this particular paragraph target class. Now notice again, classes can be reused, so we can also point to other elements, like say this particular list item, give it a class of portante, and it now is also follows the rule of the portante. Again, please take note, classes can be reused in HTML, which is not the case for ID. So the next topic here, ID selector. So let's fold it in, ID selector. So let's say the ID, we refer to an ID, by the way, using sharp. Okay, so let's say we have intro paragraph. So we say this is your graph, and we want that to have a border and a margin left px. So let's have that intro paragraph here. We can use ID and class at the same time, an element. Just make sure that ID is used just once. It's unique. My class can be used any number you want, any tags. So let's say ID equal to, what's that? Intro para. So in para, save that. We comment this, control slash, save. Then we have bordered solid black 1px, margin left 20px. So that's how we do ID set. Let's do that, fold, save that. About child selectors use the greater than symbols. What this means is this refers to all M's. This particular tag or rule, this particular rule refers to all M's that are under a paragraph or a child. As indicated earlier, this is a child paragraph. So this should be red. This is the M element, which is a child of Li, so a back yellow. Okay, so like this, comment, save. We have this M tag, which is child of paragraph tag. But notice this, we don't have a color for Li. So we need to do, or if we need to apply that, then we can say that maybe they will apply that the second one. So let's say the M tag here, open and close, so that this will be a child of this element. Have the EM that is a child of Li will be referred this up to fold, save, fold. Descendant selectors use the space. So for this particular one, we are applying this particular rule to all emphasis element, which is a descendant. Now, since these are all under body, these are all descendants of body tag, should be able to refer to M, this particular emphasis tag, as well as this. So let's double check by uncomment saving. We have that, yes. Yeah? So both are within the, or both M's are descendant using, they will inherit that up, save. How about adjacent sibling select? Adjacent sibling select is or refers to all elements that are adjacent to the referred adjacent sibling or to the referred selector. So let's try this, uncomment, then save. Okay, notice that this particular paragraph is adjacent, malapit lang or next in line or tapad lang sa H1. So this takes the color, but not this because this is not adjacent sibling. Okay, plus to refer to that again. Okay, general sibling selector uses the tilde mark. Tilde mark is normally in the leftmost part of the number keys in your keyboard. Leftmost, tabi sa number 1 sa function keys na to the left of that. At kinakailangang shift, you will be using the shift key to refer to that. So let us have this, comment this out, save. This will refer to all the sibling of H1, all the UL siblings of H1. If you change this to E element, save, it will refer to all the paragraph tags that are a sibling of H1, a sister of the same level. So that's about it for the selector tags. Okay, how are CSS rules applied on HTML? So we have this, I'm going back to again an unstyled set example tags, H1 to paragraphs, and an ordered list at the bottom. So and a separate external sheet to illustrate this. So I have this we have this first rule, the last rule applies. So if there are overlapping styles, then the last rule will prevail. Let me style the H1, this particular H1 with a coloring rule. So let's say color red, and let's save this, and we have that. And somewhere along CSS, there's other style which is the same color, but this time blue. So in this case, the last rule will be followed. Okay. So and just to illustrate further, let's create a other H1 for good measure. Let's say the color is yellow, because now a very nice tool is the inspector tool of Chrome. In fact, most browsers have this, but let's do this with Chrome since we are using Chrome. So let's do right click, then inspect. So this is your inspector web developer tool. So this is a great way to illustrate and to disable specific styles to experiment. So let's select a particular one. Let's select this via this arrow. Select this, then we will notice under the styles tab, inspector tool, we have this H1 color yellow and color blue is disabled because it's overwritten or overruled by this last rule. But if you disable this, since this is checked, if you all are, this all are enabled, but then again it's overruled because of this last rule. But if you disable this yellow one by unchecking this, the second style will kick in, which is color blue. Same is true if you disable the color blue, the last style, which is red, will. But of course, this is only for development purposes, for you to have an ability to inspect elements, change their HTML in styles in real time without affecting the actual HTML. In fact, when we refresh this, so it's the same tags that will, or the same styles in the app. Okay. So enough of these last rules. We have specificity. The more specific the rule, the more it will prevail. So let's comment this out first straight. Okay, so we're back to, let's exit this inspect element and specificity. So notice that if you remember, the universal rule was asterisk, right? So if you color the whole document red, of course it will turn out. However, there is a tag that is more, if a tag is there and a tag is more specific, and it will overrule this general pointer. So for example, if there is one tag, since it is more specific than the general across the board asterisk, it will be followed, or it will prevail. This particular rule will follow. See, So although the asterisk comes after each one, it is the last rule. Since each one is more specific, this will be followed. This will overrule. Same is true with for example, M elements. So let's remove this. Let's style the M elements. I know that you know that there are two M elements. So let's say background color. Let's say yellow, just to illustrate. So we have this. Save that. We have that to M. Now, but if you go specific, let's say the list, the M under the emphasis tag under a list like this, since this is more specific than the general across the board M, C, background color, let's say green, again just to illustrate, it will prevail. It will win over this more generic. So specificity means that the more specific the particular selector, the higher it will be, or the more expected is style. As for type precedence, inline has first priority or the higher priority if it is styled inline, second priority if it is styled internal, last priority is external. So what this means is that if your each one is styled with an inline style, that will be more, it will be followed given priority first other than if it is styled internally, or in that case external. So their priority precedence is last is the external, second is internal, and first priority the in. So that's it for